Hello, hello. It's your host, Big Smoke, back again. This time, though, on the actual official HRL Twitch account, so won't be streaming on the Championship Frill for any more Hyperdrive Racing League races from now on, as they have their own official account. But we are here for what is hopefully the best season we'll have in Hyperdrive history. Season 4, we've been hyping it up. We had a nice little fun race to maybe see some of the skill and some of the things we can expect from the drivers going into this one. Now the question is, will they deliver on the promises that were shown in America? We'll have to see. We have our first one here in Great Britain. Short quality, 26 laps, as with almost every league I commentate. We have 17 drivers currently, I think, signed in and ready to go in for this one. Maybe some more that might not be making it to the events, which doesn't shock me, but we will have to see. As we know, Michello, three-time champion here in HRL, so we'll see if he's going to be able to keep backing that up this season, or if maybe someone, just someone, can take the fight to him and take away that crown. It's a long season ahead of us, though. It's only round 1 of this calendar. Speaking of the calendar, it's a pretty solid one altogether. So for those wondering what the calendar has to offer, but anyways, sorry for the pause, just talking real quick. But our calendar, so what does it look like, might you ask? 14 round calendar, starting in Silverstone. We then go to Spielberg, Austria right after that, before coming into round 3 in Zandvoort, then Monza, then Spa, ending off our first European tour of 5 rounds. Then we'll have Melbourne and Shanghai next up, the next 2 races making up the first half of the season, before coming back round 8 with Baku, round 9 Suzuka, and round 10 Bahrain, and round 11 Jeddah. Then we finish off with an American 1-2 with Austin Interlagos, and to finish once at the usual Abu Dhabi at Yas Marina. So it's looking like a pretty solid calendar. I think we're going to have some good races on our hands, and I for sure think that there will be some great things happening this season. Will we see Michello get dethroned? Will we see him bring home that 4th title? Will we see some drivers show? Will we see some drivers fall off from last season? It's the questions that will be answered come this race. We need to figure out who's still on top, who's fallen, who's rised. It's the big fun of league racing in general. You have no idea who's going to win on any given day, because anything can happen. You never know. You could have a bad crash, you could have an incident, you could have just one of those days where it's just not working for you. Strategy's screwed, driving's not good, and it's all these factors that play into really who is going to win or lose this championship. Because ultimately, the winner of this championship is the person who's most confident during those times of difficulty. So these are things that have to be considered for sure for most of the drivers. Who can sit there, push that car that extra inch, push that little extra ounce of performance, get that extra position. Those are going to be the deciding factors that will determine the championship winner today. That will determine the championship winner, of the season. And I definitely think it's probably going to be a hard-fought battle, hopefully, because I know we have some fast drivers on this lineup that are looking for a chance to finally dethrone Michello and really try and put this championship into their hands. Obviously, Michello is the big talking point, three-time world champion, and he's got a lot of work cut out for him to do it a fourth time. Because the league just seems to be getting better and better, and better drivers seem to be entering. So, from what I've seen in that race in America, I know some drivers to be concerned about, and some that are definitely going to give us some threats, especially to Michello. So, it's going to be something I'm going to be watching for throughout the year, well, Grand Prix season. But this will be your first official HRL race of 2026. Since the first one was a little bit more of a fun race to just kind of see where everyone's sitting at. So with that in mind, I think we have quite the race on our hands, and I definitely think we have quite the event ready to go at any point. So now it's just about getting the drivers in, getting them all in their cars, and then hopefully getting onto this quali and seeing just what times these drivers can set, because that is what I'm genuinely curious about. So now we have a 19th driver in, looking like we might have a full grid for this one, or it's close anyways. 19 drivers right now. Might have a full grid for this one, people. So, just, wait, we have a few drivers at the bottom. Those probably just waiting to get in their cars, I would imagine. So we're trying to sort some things out right now, so just give us some time. And, we'll have you guys ready with some racing action in a few minutes. What are you playing at? Alrighty, just a few more cars waiting to get assigned. Alrighty, so we're already playing some pranks on the host and stuff, so that's how you know it's gonna be a good season when we're already starting this up. Although I feel like it definitely won't be like this throughout the full season. I guarantee you there will definitely be some beef. It's guaranteed, you know. You're in a league full of competitive drivers, people trying to make their mark, people trying to show that they're capable of what you're capable of, and trying to write their own narrative. So we'll have some fun. Alrighty, everyone all ready to go. I don't think there's anyone else really joining this one, so I think we have a grid of 19 for this one. So that's going to be a pretty good one. For this Grand Prix, as everyone is being told to ready up, and we are just a few seconds away from starting the 4th season of Hyperdrive Racing League. Who will be on top of this quali session? That's a question we'll have to find out, and we'll find the answer to that soon enough. As the timer ticks down the seconds to this start. Alrighty. So we just wait for the qualifyings to, we just wait for everyone to get in. Just a few people loading right now. And then, of course, deciding the tire strategy, which is going to be an important factor for sure. Again, Silverstone, very difficult track, can be pretty hard on the tires. And it's a fast track for sure, so lower downforce setup's probably going to be the expectation for most of the drivers coming into this one. And along with those low downforce setups, we're also going to have to worry about where these drivers are planning to sit in this one, because anything can really happen in this one. After all, you never know where that driver is going to be, how they're going to set this car up, how they're going to set that tire strategy up, because these are all going to be very important factors in deciding who's going to win this. And another thing to consider, the dirty air, especially once you get into the race. It's pretty bad here. Not as bad as it would be if you were in, say, F125, but it can still throw you off just enough to really make your race a hell of a lot harder than it has to be. And so, Sir Angel coming out of the pits right now. So it's going to be the Alfa Romeo, the first car out of the pits, shockingly enough. And so he's going to be the car on the outlap right now, and this is going to be very important right now. And actually, I think if someone has joined, I think we might have our full grid of 20. So here comes Sir Angel. Getting that car warmed up, get those brakes warmed up, tires warmed up, just do all the natural procedures that you have to do to really get this flying lap underway. You want to go for the gears to make sure everything's good. Nice and smooth on the steering input, scrub the wheels in a little bit, get those tires warmed up. Work on heating up that engine a tiny bit, so maybe set some higher revs for a couple seconds. And just try and get that everything all set up and ready to go, because your flyer is obviously going to be the most important part of a quali session. But that most important part comes when you actually do what I consider the real most important part, and that is the setup. The better you set up the car, the more prepared you're going to be for the flyer. You have good tires, if you've done good warming, if you've warmed those brakes up, you're going to set yourself up pretty well. Of course, Silverstone, this is kind of a hard one to prepare for, because the first big braking zone does come a decent way after the start line, so your brakes are going to have time to cool down, so it's definitely going to make a bit of a difficult one, for sure, I think, for some of the drivers, because it's not really an instantaneous, quick turnaround like you would see on other tracks. Now GRS, he's P6, NXi 2 in the Williams. We got Zach coming out, driving for AlphaTauri. Malol in the Haas. He's had some promising pace as well. MKKJR in the Aston Martin. Alfio Free Jones in the Ferrari. And now we're going to get on board with Sir Angel, as he's going to be the first guy starting up this lap. And there we go. Sir Angel, cross the line, starting up this lap now. You want to try and keep it within the track limits. Very difficult to do here in Silverstone, as the track does really try and force you to have to abuse the track limits. But the thing is, you can't get too much on those track limits, because otherwise you're just going to end up invalidating your lap and creating just a big mess out of that lap. So it really is a difficult track to get perfectly right. But he's going to do an okay job of driving through right now. And I mean, some of the other laps have started. We got the Mercedes of GRS right now coming across. This track's got quite a few nice corners too. Obvious, and some pretty good overtaking opportunities, especially on the Hangar and Wellington Straight. So those are things to consider. Now, Cops, of course, this is a risky one. You can overtake here, but it's just not a recommendation unless you want to cause some big problems. But is it possible? Yes. And it can be a fun overtaking opportunity given the conditions. But now we're going to see Peak Racing now. Here we go, setting his lap right now. 108 right now. The Alfa Romeo moving through the track. Hopefully didn't get held up too much with that. I don't think he did. DRS Open now going through this chicane, club corner. And that's the final corner leading into the start-finish straight. Coming around the track, bringing in a 125.141 is the first time that he set. And so that's going to be the base mark for here, as GRS with 126.116. And MKKJR 125.537. We got Malol, who might be someone to watch right now. We'll see what he can do in the Haas as we're going to go on board as he goes through the final chicane into club corner. $125.799 for him. And Zaka 125.595. So time's coming in right now. Tio, we'll see what he can do in the Ferrari. Going through Maggots and Beckett's. Very difficult corner section to get perfectly right, because it requires very good, just getting a very good drive for them. Because if you mess up and you go a little bit wide, then you're going to not be able to reel the car back in. That's going to require you to get off the throttle, go onto the brakes even a tiny bit if you do it really bad. So you need to get a good drive between both corners and kind of match them off perfectly. But now here comes Tio, rounding the final bend. 125.591, enough to put him in P4 right now. And now with everyone basically setting their laps besides CK9K, who we're going to see set his lap right now, coming through, out of Beckett's. And now it's just about holding on to that throttle, trying to maximize the amount of speed you can get. And now through Cops, ideally you just want to lift. You can get a little brake in there, but it's mostly just a lift. Try and hold the car around the corner. But now here comes CK9. It's going to be a 126.155, which is enough to put him in P12. As Sir Angel coming around the finish, a 148.636. So by any means, not a good lap. And we got a few drivers who still need to set their laps. Sashing 7.6 in the Alpine team now, which is interesting enough. And Gandon now in the Red Bull. So this is going to be one of the Red Bull drivers coming out. We're going to go on board with him. And it's just really important that you see what the car is doing and that you understand what it's going to do when you're going through these corners, when you're going over every curve, when you're going into the corner, when you're coming out of the corner, and most importantly, when you're mid-corner. F123, especially when you're mid-corner, can be very easy to break the traction. And the last thing you want to do is break that traction, because the moment you do, that car is going to come out from under you, and it's not going to be very, very easily recoverable. And it's part of the pain here of really trying to maximize what you can do in this car, trying to maximize your lap times. And now everyone else, of course, coming on and out lap. Vic, Wick, Sashing, Michello, they're all coming out for a nice little speedy quality lap. DRS Open for Gandon. Gets around that Haas there. Now he's going to come around the final couple bends. Frusto. Vale. And then you're going to have Club Red at the bottom here. Rounding the final bend. 125, 166, so it's not going to be enough to catch Peak Racing, but a solid lap nonetheless, and that's going to put him in the P2. Now, of course, another thing we have to consider is anyone going to try and push the 144 range, as we're going to go on with Sashing right now, who's currently through Sector 2, and just coming down now to Maggots and Beckett's, down the straight, through Cops. Holding his line as much as he can. DRS open now. And as you can see, there's an AlphaTauri off the track there. I have no idea what he's doing. But he's breaking the braking markers. Well, hope no one's planning to use those. And now we're going to go on with Michello, who's starting out his lap. And Vikwick, of course, someone to also consider who might be an interesting one because he also seemed pretty good. They're both were considered the fastest drivers in the America race, in the little America exhibition race that we did, because they were both the ones in the Williams team. So, with that in mind, we're going to see, and Vikwick was the one we did see move up the field pretty good, so I am interested to see what time he's going to set, but firstly, we're going to see what Michelle is going to set. His teammate in front, teammate might actually be giving him a bit of tow, so that's actually going to be a decent advantage there for Michello in this one. We're going to go see Vikwick right now. And as you can see what he's doing. On board with him right now. Very aggressive on the gears, I've noticed. He shifted down to 7. Very, very early into braking. He was barely even really in 7th range. But that was an interesting shift choice. But it might be part of what makes his quality laps really good. Now the question is whether he can hold the fuel and hold that pace for, say, a full race, as Adrian's joined the session too. I'm pretty sure there's 2 people in queue right now, so one of these guys is not racing. I'm not mistaken. But now Vikwick rounding the final bend. Michello enough for a 125.23, and Vikwick enough for a 125.091. So he's going to bring home the fastest lap there, and that is exactly what I was talking about when I was bringing up what they did on Williams. I have a feeling Vikwick might be a good threat for the championship. Can he show up to some races? And of course, obviously, overtake Michello in most of those races. I think he'll be a decent threat for this one, so this will be someone to watch for sure as the championship starts to get into its groove. And Adrian has joined, so now we have the full grid. Both McLarens are here. And so some people are going to be looking to improve on their laps, some looking to get those laps up and moving, because these are going to be things that they need to do, because a good grid start is, one, a decent little bit of momentum. It doesn't hurt just to have a decent grid start, to know that, hey, I do have the pace to keep up with these guys. I have the pace to make a difference. I have the pace to get some points. It's a very nice feeling for sure, and especially at the beginning of a season when you really have no idea where anyone else is at race pace, it's nice to know you at least have the 1 lap pace. Any little bit of confidence can definitely help a driver for sure, and so I feel like that is going to be a big factor, I feel, for many going into this one. And Silverstone's a nice track to get that feeling too. It's a historic track, hosted the first F1 Grand Prix, albeit it was not the most popular actually when it first hosted its F1 Grand Prix, mainly due to the fact that the track was, it had its problems. Concession stands were just way below the average quality of those 1950s tracks, and even the old horse racing track not too far from Silverstone, Aintree, had better concessions, it had better facilities. And so Silverstone, despite hosting quite a few races and even the Queen showing up for the first F1 Grand Prix, it was not a popular location for the most part. Of course, that eventually went on the change after the 50s, but for the mid-50s, around 54, 55, 56-ish range, if I'm not mistaken, I know it was definitely 55, Aintree then became the track for the British Grand Prix, which was basically just a converted old horse racing stadium. To be fair, Silverstone was a converted airport, but they turned Aintree into a little racetrack, and it was a little more popular, and it gave time to, of course, build up Silverstone. Then Silverstone got built up, and well, the rest is history. It became one of the most popular tracks on the F1 calendar. So, and now it is where it is today. A great test of speed, a great test of grit, metal, determination. It's a very nice track, and it's going to give you some fun. As Tom, by the way, P7 now, 125.428. And we're going to see if Zach is going to make any improvements on this lap, albeit it does look like it's a little bit slower at the moment. And Vickwick still currently holding down the fort, P1 right now, with that 125. But Peak Racing now coming back on him. He's 8/100ths of a second up, so he's very much in the range. Rounding these final two bends. Club corner now. Did he maintain the speed enough? Coming around the final bend. Yes, he did. 124.994, and that's what I was just talking about. Pushing the 124s, and it's going to be Peak Racing, the first one to do it, and set that 124 benchmark that now everyone else is going to have to try and one up. So a good lap by the Alfa Romeo driver. Now Gandon, the McLaren, right behind his teammate. Also, I think getting some tow from his teammate. So Gandon coming around these final couple bends, gets a nice tow from his teammate there into Stowe. And now he's going to come around club corner. I know I say that a lot, but it's important one. It's Gandon now, fastest lap, 124.918. So that tow did make a decent difference, as now Gandon's going to take pole position for this one right now. Provisional pole, 3 minutes left on the clock. Gandon, 124.918, the time to beat. Is anyone looking to one-up that? I know I would be. Gandon showing some really promising pace, though, so that's something to really consider in this one. As the pace looks really promising. As for the McLaren of Adrian, we're just going to see. He's coming into the pits now, so I think he's calling that one off. I don't think he's going to do much with that one. Besides, it's just better to kind of relax. Or, to be fair, he might have been on the in-lap anyways. But Adrian going to retire, so Adrian is calling this whole quality session off and sticking with that 125.9 free. There's no improvements to be made for him, as he's made his decision that he does not want to do much more there. So, Alfio Free Jones on outlap. So you got a bunch of people coming out on outlap, which makes sense. This is going to be a big rush to the finish line for everybody. Although I know some drivers might not make it. Peak Racing coming out again, but 122 left on the clock. He might not make it. Unless he has some really considerably dangerous corner cutting. And of course that also accounts for the fact that he does have some drivers behind him too, which is also going to be a bit of a pain. As Vickwick now on the lap, on board with the Aston Martin driver, looking to make an improvement on this time, but it's already not a good start. Sector 1 looking a little bit shoddy there by his standards. Let's see what he can do in Sector 2 now. He's going to come around and try and improve on the time here. Was a little better for Sector 2, but still just not. That Sector 1 might have been what killed that lap. that he might have just enough time to go out for one more. He will have enough time to go out for one more, but unfortunately he won't have the ERS to really go out for one more. So that one is practically in the gutter, and it's not going to be much of an improvement for Vickwick. Michello in the same situation though, trying to run an improvement. We'll see what he can do though. Sector 1, this is going to be important, what time he's dropping. He's a whole 10.5 down, so this is going to be a big improvement. He needs to make about 3/10 this lap if he wants to take that lead. So this is going to be a strong lap that Michello's going to have to set down. The pace is going to have to be strong for these second and third sectors. As Sir Angel drops to a 1:24.907, and so an Alpha going to come and set a good lap time. And now we're going to see what Michello's going to do. On board with the Red Bull driver, MKKJR not going to do much to improve on the lap. Zach going to improve to a 1:25.232. What is Michello looking at though? Does he have the pace? Did he pick it up enough? Is he going to be able to steal it from Sir Angel? As Alfio Free Jones going to steal it from Vickwick, 1:25.077. Malol, 1:25.201. Michello, 1:24.907. But it's not going to be enough because they both tied. Sir Angel was the first to set the time, which means Sir Angel is going to take pole position regardless of if Michello did also set the time and was given the fastest lap credit by the game for that. It's gonna go to Angel. That is, wow. What a good start to the season that is. We're already starting with tied quali times for the top spot, with Sir Angel getting it because he was the first to set the time. So, Sir Angel gonna be on pole position with the exact same time as Michello, but of course gonna edge Michello out by getting it first. So it's gonna be Angel, Michello, Gandon, Peak Racing, and Alfio Free Jones making up that top 5 there, and that is already a really good start to, I think, what should be a good season coming our way. Angel looking really strong too, so I feel like we have a pretty fun season on our way. We got about 5 drivers, I would say, that look really good for this one, so and so 20 drivers, a full grid. I haven't seen one in quite a few races, so it's nice to actually see one right now. But of course, with a full grid comes great responsibility by the drivers that are racing in this one, because they will have to try and get around the chaos that will most likely happen in the first laps. So, just waiting for this one to start. A few seconds away from hopefully what's going to be a good one. The fans seem very unenthusiastic about this one. They're just kind of clapping and raising their hands in the air. Thank you, EA, for very unenthusiastic fans. They were probably fans back in the 70s, I don't know. But anywho, we've got one hell of a race on our hands. And now here we go. 5 red lights. And we are off for this British Grand Prix. Sir Angel gonna get a decent start. I think he might be able to catch out Michello. Michello, though, gonna have the inside line. They're gonna go side by side. Sir Angel, car's going wide. We got a couple. There's a McLaren wide back there. Grim up a couple positions. We got a few people coming up positions. Goico is out of the Grand Prix, and I think our first safety car might be coming nice and early. There's a McLaren back there. That's Adrian, and I think it's a virtual safety car. But yeah, a big mess happened immediately into that one, and I knew that was coming because it's one of the difficulties of Silverstone. It's a track that it's very narrow at points, and especially in that area where it isn't really a natural like slowdown zone like you would in other tracks. It's full throttle, so when you're going 3-4 abreast, something is gonna happen. Someone's gonna get spit out, and that is just some of the issues that I think come with this track, but we'll have to see who can hold it. But he is out of this Grand Prix, and his race is over before it even really began. And that's just an unfortunate day for Goico. But now race is back on. Michelle is still trying to hold on the lead to this one. We got Angel Peak Racing in P2 right now. He's moved up a couple positions, and he's got Alfie Free Jones following behind. And now, of course, we're going to see Vickwick getting around Malol. And this is just some of the battling we're going to see right now, as there's going to be an Alfa Romeo trying to go side by side with the Ferrari, and the Ferrari's keeping up very well to Peak Racing up ahead. Might try and move possibly, but it's Michello who's currently dictating the pace of this Grand Prix, as he's the one currently in the lead. Now Michello going to drop the fastest lap of 1:41.271, albeit not too important right now because this is the lap. That was the first lap, just trying to get the race set up and started. Peak Racing trying to get onto Michello though. Bless me. And Gannon gets around Sir Angel. It's hard to choose what battles to watch right now because there are so many going on. And actually, we're going to see, I think, the Ferrari of Tio. He takes a little look down on Malol right there. But he's not going to do anything. Zach looking a little wide there. That was not the greatest line around there. And he might find himself under threat by NXi2 in the Williams, as NXi2 moving very quickly in that Williams. Might try and make a move at some point in this one. Looking side by side, looking for an opportunity to do so. Alfie Free Jones going to get around Gandon. These two fighting up front right now. And it's Gandon ahead of Alfie Free Jones. Now, so Ferrari falling to P4. Sir Angel needs to get that position back. Oh, we're going to get some hard fighting. Gandon now going to try and go on Peak Racing. Red Bull 1-2 about to happen. There it is. That's a Red Bull 1-2. So now Gandon holding off Peak Racing. Peak Racing going to be looking to try and get that position back. And Alfa Romeo, his teammate Sir Angel in P5, he started P1, so he needs to get a move on and try and get back into this top three fight. So Gandon gets at the fastest lap of the Grand Prix right now at a 1:28.237. DRS now enabled. Now this is where the race really heats up. DRS open, gonna try and run side by side, down the inside, Gandon now into P1. The Red Bull teammates gonna have to work together, try not to trip each other up. But this is gonna be part of the strategy of trying to set the championship winner. Gandon and Michello very close in pace, especially on certain tracks, so I definitely think I don't know how they're gonna try and manage this. They're going to be working together most of the season probably because they're going to be close together most of the season. So they're going to have to figure out how they want to go about doing that. We're going to go on board of Vickwick right now. He's currently on the back end of this battle. DRS open. Going to be looking. He's very close. He's got good slipstream. Is he going to send it down the inside here? No. Slops back to the back of Angel. Doesn't want to try anything too aggressive, too risky. Because you do something like that, you're going to get yourself into trouble real early on into this Grand Prix, and we're only on lap 3. So risky moves, should probably try and keep those close to about lap 20, lap 18, lap 20. That's when you really want to start unleashing those final moves, where you really want to start showing everyone what you're capable of, because you don't know, if you do it too early, people are going to know what to expect, and they're going to learn you like a book, especially on the track. So you don't want to show them the true knowledge of this track, what you know, too early on, because then you give your opponents a tactical advantage. because they'll know how to stop it. Now back to this battle. We got Adrian versus 2-Bit right now for P13. 2-Bit kind of losing his DRS right now, not struggling to hold up the pace and try and keep up with the guys in front. NXI2 is actually in P18. I think he had to pit at some point in this one. Same with Tom, who's pitting right now, in fact. And so now it's 2-Bit just trying his best to hold off the McLaren behind of Adrian. Adrian have to do some work though, because he can't just sit back there and expect the position to come to him. Unless, of course, the Mercedes makes a big mistake, is Zach going to get himself a 3-second time penalty there. And that's already part of some of the difficulties of this Grand Prix. It's going to be strategizing, which I feel is definitely going to create a bit of a difficult one. As Marino trying to catch up to Zach now. He knows Zach has a penalty now. So, I mean, in that one advantage, he knows he doesn't need to really worry too much about trying to beat him, because that 3-second time penalty is going to play into his favor anyways. But the question is, does he want to beat him? Does he want to prove that he's better? Because he's already got him beat in terms of on track, in terms of time, because he doesn't have the 3-second penalty, which Zach does. And of course, considering that you stay close, it does make for that. But now Peak Racing going to go side by side with the Red Bull Gandon, trying to hold it around the outside. Not going to be able to, though. And that was close to getting a move for P2. And it's still side by side. They're going to crash! Big incident! Gandon out of the Grand Prix. Peak Racing gone, too! Big incident! Safety car out on the Grand Prix. Try and get around that. Hopefully everyone gets around that safe. Slow down, slow down. Do not go too fast through that corner. Wow. Big incident early on in the Grand Prix. And that is a big crash. As the Red Bull of Gandon and Peak Racing get into each other, they touch. And it's a big explosion of carbon fiber all over the track. And there's two cars stranded like beached whales there. And that was absolutely worst case scenario for the both of them. And I knew something bad was going to happen because I was watching how they were both going into that corner. They were way too close. Oh, that's just brutal. So that's two drivers out. We're down to 17 as free drivers out. Goico out early on, and we got Gandon out. Gandon and Peak Racing out. Both drivers taken out in that crash. So a brutal turn of events for the both of them. And so it's going to be Zach who's going to be leading the Grand Prix right now as he decides not to go into the safety car, albeit might be trying to do a pit. Well, actually, no, it doesn't matter because his teammate is out of the Grand Prix, so he can pit whenever he wants without any precaution. So that's two drivers out of the Grand Prix. And so we don't run out of controversies in F1 23 League Racing, don't we? Oh, that was and the drama starts too. You're gonna see that on Drive to Survive with probably the wrong radio messages too. That'll be a good scene for Drive to Survive. Can't wait for Netflix to milk the hell out of that. I can't wait for another Will Buxton the Fear speech with that one. But so with the safety car out, Zach leading this one, everyone going to go in, probably try and change up some tires. Strategies are probably expected to change now. And I mean, especially if you're expecting for a second safety car, which could be the possibility because it's still a crazy race. And Silverstone does do a decent job of keeping, if the pace of the drivers is fairly close, everybody right up against each other. So That is something to expect, I feel, going into this one. So it's not unexpected that we saw a crash early on into this race, and that's going to be the first big incident of the season, along with Goico, of course, coming out. But the first big incident, driver to driver, in this season. So, safety car out. 2-bit, currently leading the Grand Prix of the Mercedes. Sir Angel P2, Michello P3. And so some races might have been ruined with that safety car. Others might have just started with that safety car. And I definitely think the tire strategy is going to change now. A lot of drivers on mediums still. But maybe we might see a medium to soft strategy now, because especially when this race restarts, we're already on lap 8. So I think there's a possibility for a medium to soft strategy now. So I think we might expect to see the soft tires become a usable compound in this one. Of course, barring that these drivers do have new softs. But so the cars coming around now. Part of the fun of this one. Just, you know, the normal things we expect to see in a Grand Prix. No, nothing special, but it is showing, I feel, some of the competition that we can expect to have in this league, because those are some moves that we're going to expect to see, and I feel it's unfortunate. I really did want to see that battle continue on, because it was looking like a good one. But again, stuff happens. That's racing, and well, most of the time it can be controlled. Sometimes decision making in the heat of the moment is a brutal one. So I think we should be restarting this Grand Prix real soon, probably on lap 9. So I definitely think we're going to see the medium to soft strategy, or some drivers probably even try and run the medium to the end, which I feel is also a decent expectation, because there are not too many laps left. So I feel the mediums are an okay tire to attempt to run to the end with. So I wouldn't naturally count anyone out from running the mediums to the end, because I definitely think it's possible. If you're good at conserving your tires, because the tires are going to be warm, they're ready to run. You've already done those few laps that you need and necessary to build up that heat into the tire. So you've already done that necessary work. So now it's just send it, just drive it. But of course you do have to be considerate, because if you want to go to the end on these tires, you're going to have to do a hell of a job. What has happened? The Haas into the wall. What has just happened? CK9K drives into the wall, and that's it for the Haas. As now we get ready to restart this Grand Prix. And so, 2-bit leading this Grand Prix, Sir Angel on the back, and especially now with a chance to get back into the... Chance to get back into this, but Sir Angel down the inside. Beautiful move. Catches 2-bit lacking there. And Michello now going to do the same thing, and now everyone going to do the same thing to this man. In fact, I think he might have been one of the slower cars. Vikwick through. There's a caution out. I think that's Grim. So now Vikwick going to come around. Sashing and Vikwick side by side right now. Who's going to get the advantage here? It's going to go to Vikwick, but now Sashing going to try and go down the inside here. It's going to be side by side. This is the same area we literally saw just a couple laps ago. Both Gannon and Peak Racing come together, but they get through completely fine. It's going to be Sashing, though, holding on the lead right now over Vikwick in P3. So Vikwick going to have to pull that rope closer and then slingshot himself around Sashing. And Marino going to do some combat with Malol. And Malol not going to be able to hold on now. Marino into P6. 2-bit now, losing some more positions. That Mercedes driver really struggling to keep up with some of the faster drivers behind him now. And now he's going to find himself under attack again. Oh, but he plays a late defensive move. It's going to be okay, though, for Marino. Marino now side by side. Going to move. Going to be around the outside, but he's going to have the inside line into Club. He gets it nice and easily now. And there's going to be a tiny bit of contact between the Haas. There's going to be a car getting pushed off wide. I think that's the Mercedes of GRS. And GRS going to be given a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Adrian in P8. And now GRS down the inside on Adrian. Bit of contact between the two of them. I think they banged wheels a tiny bit. Alfio Free Jones now trying to make an impact here. And this battle, this ding-dong scrap is really messing up this race right now. And it's allowing some drivers to really get in there. Alfio Free Jones going to have to move up the field. There's a lot of moving side to side by a lot of the drivers in front. And it's definitely creating a bit of a risk, especially if you want to go for a move. But it's going to come out okay. Everyone's going to be okay. And now Alfio Free Jones going to be, unfortunately, kind of screwed out of a position there because there's not much he could do. He was caught in behind of the Mercedes of 2-bit. And Adrian leading this pack. Well, I should say Malol is. And Malol's trying to lead this field. Adrian, though, might say otherwise. He's going to get the slipstream down the inside for Stowe. A little bit of contact, though. Adrian going to get pushed. Malol, though, going to stay behind, though. Now Malol going to look for a move, possibly. But he's going to keep it nice and clean right now. Sir Angel sending the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at a 1:27.642. DRS now back and enabled. And the race is back up and running now. With anything really ready to happen in this one. MKKJR going to get around 2-bit now. He's just not showing the pace. Vikwick going to get around Sashing, though. Hard down the inside there too, obviously, because that gap was insane. As Malol, though. Malol gonna get a big punt off there. Spinning around into the grass, loses a big portion of time there. Now we're gonna go on board with Alfio Free Jones. Telemetry on, see what this guy is doing. You're gonna see that DRS activate. That's where the speeds are gonna hit, probably around the 340 range. And this is already a good start to what's already been quite the chaotic Grand Prix. DRS open now. Slipstream side by side. He's gonna go around the outside here. Very safe move. Shouldn't create too much of a problem, and no, it doesn't. And so it's gonna be Alfio Free Jones and GRS also gonna get around him. Adrian, though, gonna try and hold it around the outside. GRS, though, going to have the advantage on the inside, though. Adrian, though, these two staying side by side. MKKJR going to be asking these guys to get a move on because he's also got some threats coming up behind him, and that's the form of Zach. MKKJR looking for a move. Grim going to retire from the session. He's made a mistake. He's out of the Grand Prix now. Oh, no, he's retiring in the pit lane. Never mind. I was expecting a little more dramatic. But Michello now. Behind Sir Angel, 44. With Vikwick also behind him now. So now it's a freeway fight for first. These are guys that I think are going to be title contenders. Vickwick seems to kind of turn on near the end of a Grand Prix, I find. After the first, especially near the end, I shouldn't say near the end, but around the halfway point, that's when he starts to really turn on, it seems, and kind of get back into gear. As now he's trying to set into getting that fret on Mugello and try and possibly make a move there. So it's Mercedes looking down the inside, not going to do anything too aggressive there, though. So Mugello still trying to close up that gap to the car in front. But Sir Angel doing just enough to kind of maintain his gap right now. He just has that advantage in that final sector, which is enough to get him. And most of that is probably due to the fact that Mugello, one, has to brake a little bit harder so he doesn't go right into the back of the Alfa Romeo. But also, the slight bit of dirty air might be having a bit of an effect. And now he's also got to consider, too, he's got a car behind him who's also trying to threaten him. So he needs to try and manage two battles at once. He has to manage his fight to the guy in front and his fight to the guy behind. As Mugello now tried to take a look there. Not going to be able to get the move done, though. So it's Mugello currently trying to hold off Vickwick right now. He's got a close gap, trying to get the slipstream. Vickwick, though, going to have to slot back in behind. Not much coming out of that move there. But something that might come out is that GRS. Adrian down the inside, nice and quick there. Up into P7 now. Adrian, GRS, those two having a bit of a fight too. They've been scrapping. And now we also got Tom also into the possibility of joining this battle. As now he finds himself front nose to the rear of GRS, albeit he loses a little bit there, and the other Aston Martin teammate of MKKJR, currently P10 right now. He's going to look for a move on Tom. He's very aggressive about how he goes about taking those looks. He swings the car around. It's a very interesting strategy, but it does seem to work sometimes for him. Now the question is whether he can hold it together when he does that to actually make the move, especially when you go onto the brakes and start inputting those. So now, back to the front. Sir Angel doing a really good job. Thanks for the nose cam, EA. The greatest cam in F1. I love it. Not at all. But anyways, Sir Angel ahead of Mugello. Still holding on to the lead of this Grand Prix. 3 tenths right now. 2.5. Mugello needs to push the pace. He needs to dictate himself a little more. He needs to send some authority Angel's way. But he also has to be careful too, because you don't want to make something too aggressive. And especially right now, messing up an offensive move, it would be absolutely detrimental to Mugello, because he's also under attack of Vickwick, which is something to consider. If he makes a huge mistake, he might have to brake, and in doing that, that might allow Vickwick through. Ideally, he's trying to shake off Vickwick, but it's just not working right now, as Vickwick's doing a good job of staying in the DRS, and Angel's making it very hard for Mugello to get around. And this is part of the difficulty that's really coming in right now to Michello's race, because he's really playing two games at once. He has to hold on to offense, but he also has to hold on to the defensive side as well. Trust me, he's got a pretty fast Aston Martin behind him. On board with the leader right now. Do that rear wing cam. And you can see exactly where he's getting those advantages. Megson Beckett's one of those big advantages where he gets it, and that's specifically due to the dirty air that Mugello was experiencing behind. As Adrian once again going side by side with GRS, and now Tom is in very close knit range too. Now might we expect a move from him? That's another question that we'll have to answer. But I think it's going to come soon, because now we're closing into the final laps of the Grand Prix, which means for sure that we're most likely going to expect to see some of the moves be made, as Tom going down the inside on GRS. Too bad we don't really get to see the move because of the camera, but GRS though going to switch back though. But Tom going to have DRS, I think, and he's going to be right up on that slipstream. And now we're going to go to Tom side by side down the inside. But GRS going to hold a little bit more speed and not going to be able to maintain the inside. Through left field. So it's GRS back on the rear end of Adrian. As the Mercedes goes off track a little bit there. It's a little bit of dirt there. As Zach out of the Grand Prix now. That's a big incident. Another driver out of this one. Or not out, but retiring anyways. Signed to end his race early. So now Sir Angel still holding on to the lead of this Grand Prix, albeit still has the Aston Martin of Vickwick behind and Sir Angel. These top three, they've been fighting close and pushing and pulling, but they just have not been able to do enough to overtake each other. And I feel like that's some of the struggle that they've been having in this one. Is trying to find those overtaking opportunities. They've stayed close most of the time, but they haven't gotten anywhere close enough to really pass each other. And they've been on each other's throats for a solid portion of the Grand Prix at this point, so it's really not that there's any problem in keeping in that range. It's just, it's not easy to actually, you know, make it work. They're just struggling to keep this race within the distance now. To try and get in there so that you can stick that front nose right where you need it. Part of that may also be the fact that this is in fact Silverstone, which is a track which I feel a lot of drivers do practice. It's a fun track, and because of that you tend to get really good at this track, so it's an expectation that we're probably going to see drivers be a little bit quicker and a little bit closer together on a track like this. But this also means that the drivers are so close in pace at times that you're going to barely see any overtakes. Of course, Michello and Sir Angel, we saw that. They were both actually the literal exact same time, both getting a 907, a 124 907. So we know these guys can get close. It's just a question of who's going to make the slip up, who's going to make the mistake to allow the other driver through. Or is that not going to happen? Is it going to stay like this for the rest of the Grand Prix? Someone's going to have to make a mistake, and I feel that might be the only way that someone's getting past in that top three, is someone needs to make a big mistake. Someone needs to make a miscalculation, a misjudgment, a misinput, an error in judgment, a lapse in judgment. Any of those little things, and I have a feeling you're most likely going to see an overtake made. And it might be made now, because Sir Angel, I don't know if he's done enough to hold it off. Michello down the inside. Vicwick might even take a look, and Michello's gone into P1 now. Speaking of lapse in judgment, speaking of errors, I don't know if Angel did anything different. I just think Michello picked up the pace there and was able to finally push the car in front. So now it's going to be Sir Angel biting Michello's dirty air and trying to find that advantage in it. So this race is back on, and it's now in Michello's favor, as Sir Angel gonna have to try and do the dirty work now to claw himself back into Michello's range, and more importantly, get back over Michello. So now Michello's played that overtake perfectly, and he's got himself in a good spot, as Vicwick taking a look too. Round the outside, takes a quick look at the quick Sir Angel behind. Sir Angel are going to gain a good bit of time, but not enough to make a move yet. So it's Michello building up a bit of a gap. Vicwick, who looked like he was going to get close enough to do it, kind of falls off in the straight there. And Sir Angel gets close. Not close enough, though. Just trying everything he can to really push that car into Michello's range, but it's not happening right now. There's still quite a few laps left, though. Another 6 to go. So he's going to need to look for that opportunity soon enough. GRS into the pits, Tom v MKK. Adrian also falling into this battle. MKK taking a couple looks. It's one of the other battles to really watch here in this one. We're gonna go on with Tom right now. He was just in the same issue that Michello was in, where he had to both defend and defend. So, but now he's gonna go down the inside. Tom taking a look. Not gonna be enough though, but he keeps very close to Adrian there, and he might have almost set up the perfect overtake. Had he had a little bit more time, I think that perfect overtake would have came, but I don't think it came right now. Zach has left the session. He's out of the Grand Prix though. And so this is just part of the difficulty of this Grand Prix right now. I know I say part of the difficulty a lot. I really actually need to stop saying that. Sir Angel going to get around Michello, though, for P1. And wow, I'm missing a good battle here. NXI2 going to retire from the session. He's into the pits, I think, and he's out as well. So now we're down to 13 in this one, as quite a few retirements have just been made recently. And so with 5 laps left of this Grand Prix, Sir Angel leading this one. Michello now back to being under threat right now. Adrian losing 2 positions, probably due to the lack of DRS that he hasn't had, and especially now going into the pits. And so it's Sir Angel right now, leading on Michello to try and get first place in this Grand Prix. Still a top 3 battle though. Sir Angel, Michello, and Vikwick still having a hell of a fight right now. So the question you have to ask is anyone really going to be able to get around and make said move? And Vikwick gets around Michello, by the way. So up into P2 is Vikwick. Michello's still third. And Sir Angel right now still leading this Grand Prix. He's got a decent hold on this one right now. A bit of a chokehold. But now Vikwick possibly has a chance to drop Michello down to P3. And a chance to win this Grand Prix as well, if he can stay close to Sir Angel and possibly set himself up for the overtake, as we're going to go on board with him. And he's going to set himself up for the overtake. Vikwick around Sir Angel. Not much Sir Angel could do to defend there. And it's going to be Vikwick into P1. And remember, this is exactly what I just said too. I was talking about this. He seems to pick up right near the end of Grand Prix. And now I think that's where he's planning to do it now. As he's picking up the pace, I think he's actually was trying to not overwear his tires. Because now Sir Angel falling far behind right now. And Vikwick seemingly finding a good pace and a good groove to get into. As he's now trying to build up that gap and get away from the two of them. Vikwick was biding his time the whole time back there, and now that he's finally got that freedom, he's looking to build that gap up nice and quick and get Sir Angel and Michello the hell away from him. It was exactly part of Vikwick's plan. I think I read his driving style almost from the get-go. He seemed a little slow, and I knew he was capable of quick pace because I saw his one-lap pace, especially in Coda. That's what I figured. He held it back until he could get his chance to push those tires. So it's a good driving style for this race. Now the question is, obviously that stuff will have to change depending on the race. But here, when you're staying close to the drivers the drivers ahead, you get a chance now. Michello gonna go side by side though with Sir Angel. Remember, he's also on hard, so he still has a chance to chase down Vikwick, as I think Sir Angel, the biggest mistake that he made was going on the mediums. I think they are starting to fall off ever so slightly right now, and it's creating a bit of a problem for him. Now the question is, Michello now around Sir Angel, is he going to pick up the pace too and try and catch up to Vikwick, who is currently a 1.2 second gap right now ahead. And yeah, it does seem like Michello is also going to pick up the pace himself. Adrian saying the fastest lap of 1:27.208. Oh yeah, Michello is coming very quick now. But he's not going to have DRS this lap. But he'll definitely have it next lap if he can keep this pace up. But he does look a little slow though through Maggots and Beckett's. And Malol going side by side with Marino. Marino going to be able to hold on to this one. This is a little bit of a scrap going on too. Sashing around Sir Angel. As Sir Angel goes completely off track. He's got a puncture. Sir Angel has a puncture. He's overdone it on the tires. He's gone too long. He has a puncture. And this is absolutely brutal to his race. Sir Angel, who looked on chance to win this one, has just lost it all due to a puncture. He went too far on the mediums. They were not going to go any longer. He might have pushed those mediums too hard because there are some other drivers who were on the mediums that seem to be fine. He had the pace, but I just think he overdid it on the tires in those battles and trying to hold off Vikwick and Michello. And I think that might have been the biggest chink in his armor, and it was his tire conservation. Sir Angel, unfortunately, not going to be able to hold on to those tires anymore. Now, could there have been a piece of debris on the track? Maybe, but I do think it was just a normal puncture, and it's unfortunate for the man himself. And so a heartbreaking defeat for Sir Angel right there, as his tires have come and gone. His left front decided that enough was enough, and it was not going to take any more punishment. And unfortunately, that was it for Sir Angel's race. So now it's on to Vikwick to try and hold off Michello, and it's on to Michello to try and catch up to Vikwick, but Vikwick doing a very good job right now as he's holding the gap, and it's actually increasing it. So I think he was definitely holding back a tiny bit on his tires, because he still does seem to have the pace as we're coming into this final lap right now, with Vikwick looking very strong indeed. And Michello not going to have any DRS to really save himself in this one. So, 2 sectors away, we're about half a lap away from Vikwick winning this Grand Prix, and Michello being the unfortunate, well, I shouldn't say unfortunate, but not going to be able to get that first place away from him, as Vikwick going to be able to pull away. Maybe that battle with Sir Angel might have been the big deciding factor, might have slowed him down just enough. And Sir Angel, of course, the deciding factor to his race was the puncture right at the end. But now it's going to be Vikwick coming around. Megaton Beckett's last time, he's got Stowe, Vale, and Club just between him and the finish line. Through Stowe, through Vale, and now down the final straight into Club, and he's got the gap. He's done it. Vikwick gets a really good drive, was able to get around Sir Angel, and most importantly, he played the strategy right, and I think he was just a little bit lighter on his tires, and biding the time and playing it conservatively did in fact work for him, as Vikwick gonna bring home first place in this Grand Prix with Michello P2. Alfie Ofri Jones gonna bring home third place for Ferrari with Sashing and Tom 4 and 5. MKKJR 6, Marino 7th, Malol coming around for P8, and Sir Angel, unfortunately, a brutal race that was going so well up until 2 laps from the finish line, is going to come home P9 and with the fastest lap, just to say I was the fastest on track. And I could have been, as Tio P11, and finally the McLaren of Adrian passing through. So a happy race for the Aston Martin driver, and I gotta say, he played that strategy perfectly, was able to maintain the pace, and then got that gap built up nice and early. By the time that Michello got past Angel, the DRS was already out of question, and then after that it was just about continuously building up that pace. So a good win, Michello P2, and right now someone else is on top of the world right now. Will that stay come the next race? That's a question we have to ask. But Vikwick P1 and winner of the Grand Prix with Michello P2, Alfie P3, Sashing P4, Tom P5, MKKJR P6, Marino P7, Malol P8, Sir Angel a P9 that he knows could have been in the top 3, GRS P10, Tio P11, 2-Bit P12, Adrian P13, and as for the guys that weren't able to finish the Grand Prix, unfortunately, NXI2, WBU Zach, Grim, CK9K, Gandon, Peak Racing, and Goico Pro. That was your Season 4 debut race in HRL, and that there was a beautiful British Grand Prix with some drama, with some action, and I have to say, Vikwick going in to round 2, a championship leader right now. I'm your host, Biggie Smoke, at HRL. I'll be seeing you guys on my own channel, link in the description, for EGPC. Bye for now. Peace.